With the NBA season being less than 24 hours away, I think it is finally time to leave all of these bad takes in the past. I think it is time to finally get over all of these takes. We're going to leave them in 2025, and we're not going to draw them out into the rest of this regular season. As even though it hasn't started yet, I feel like it is a perfect time to address some of the things that I hear constantly, be that on Twitter, which I'm not surprised, but I am disappointed. YouTube comment sections or general consensus where you can get NBA basketball knowledge without actually learning anything. These are the 10 takes that have to stop. Number one, and these are in no particular order, so feel free to put them in however order you see fit. The clutch gene has to stop. Now, my guy, LeBron James, has been getting berated by the clutch gene for as long as I can remember. And yes, sometimes a player is going to have really bad moments, some of them in the most unopportune places. Sometimes they are so bad that they are historically bad. This guy is no exception to that. Clearly, the 2011 finals is a moment that besmirches LeBron James' career more than anything else. I don't think there's another GOAT candidate that quite frankly has a moment this bad, to be quite honest. But the idea that LeBron James in 2025 is not clutch. The fact that we were having these debates in 2015. The fact that we were having these debates post 2016 is disgusting. It's disturbing. It's really, really tiresome, and I'm over it. The reason that this is so disheartening, to be quite honest, is for, well, a multitude of reasons. Now, if a player messes up, right, and then succeeds and makes up for their failures or whatever, this is not considered clutch, or it shouldn't be. If a player absolutely dogs a team and never gives them a chance, these are not considered clutch. What most people consider clutch is when you're in a close game, and despite dominance and being clutch being considered universally similar terms, the way we use them is not. A team that is very dominant but has almost never had to be clutch, let's be honest, is the 73-9 Warriors. Yes, they had some clutch moments, but they were blowing teams out of the gym by the third quarter. They didn't really have a lot of time to be in clutch game scenarios, which most people commonly decide that the game is within 6 or 8 points or so. Very winnable games with like 2 or so minutes left remaining. If we actually use any statistics that are widely agreed to be clutch stats, obviously LeBron is a clutch player. But the most clutch players of all time actually look, well, the ones that we consensually have up there, actually look way worse in the clutch than you might remember. Kobe, as clutch as the man was, one of the clutchest players of all time, I might add, his statistics don't reflect that. And that's because clutch isn't a term that makes sense. It's not a universal thing. It's a feeling. And when we're arguing about feelings in basketball, bro, that needs to stop. Leave that in 2025. I do not want to hear about clutch things ever again. The clutch gene is ridiculous, and when you use it to elevate it over a player that simply doesn't have the same production as another player, hell, I might even go as far to say as Tyrese Halliburton has distributed this year, we gotta stop that. Cause yeah, bro. There's no way you niggas were trying to tell me dead ass with a serious face that this nigga was better than Jason Tatum. Let's calm down. I say this as JT's biggest hater. We took it too far. Older eras had better basketball. This is a take that is just, look, I don't care how you feel about it. This is just a fact. Older eras of basketball did not have better basketball. I don't need to say this, and I'm going to do some very quick generalizations of what I mean for literally every single era, and this is just for NBA basketball. I mean, if you want to say that college basketball was better in the 90s, I have no opinion on that, actually. I don't think anything. But if we're talking about NBA basketball, let's be honest with ourselves. Let's not lie. Some of y'all be saying this just cause y'all like the vibes and nostalgia. I get it. But to say that objectively had better basketball is wrong. Let me go real quickly over this. 50s. This is pre black and white players. This is just white players. Like, I don't think I need to say this. One of the best players from this era shot 40%, maybe 40 or so percent plus, like 2 times in his career. That guy has a Finals MVP and an MVP that clearly should have went to Bill Russell. So the 60s, there just aren't enough teams in this era. Like, the last era didn't have enough black players in it. This era just doesn't have enough teams. There's like 6 or 8 teams. No, you should not discredit the legends of this era. Should you be considering the era of basketball good? No. The 70s. I think the 70s might actually be the worst era of basketball that people actually acknowledge. Because let's be honest, I don't think anyone's coping for the 50s. The 70s is vastly depleted by there being 2 very similar leagues, the NBA and the ABA. Yes, this leads to the 70s, which is an era that I don't think people highly regard. And I'm going to be honest, it's probably kind of similar to how people regard this era, given how the different amount of champions every single year. But I think it's even worse over there because there's no talent. The talent is actually way worse, generally league-wide. So I don't think we should do this. The 80s. Dude, do I have to explain to you why the 80s is not a better era of basketball? Did the Jordan Bulls did these like early Jordan Bulls not being on all types of illicit substances not do it for you? That wasn't a deal breaker. It probably should have been. Was this era of basketball wasn't even fun to watch. I haven't talked about this for any of the previous eras, but this one especially needs to be talked about. Tape delay. You're coping for the era that had tape delay on its games. Mind you, most of these games just now started becoming in colors at the beginning of this decade. Do not lie to me. This era of basketball, as a fan, is not as good as the next one or anyone after that. The 90s. This is the most romanticized era of basketball, and I cannot imagine why it is. Because 95% of it is just post players posting each other up. I know before you start typing and be like, all players do today is jack up threes. The way they jack up threes today, or the way they get to those threes, all of those things are different. And this is not leading to basketball being as homogenous as other eras of basketball. This is literally, and I'm serious, if you pick a random game, you're going to see the most whatever post-ups from players that you know would not get the ball in today's game. Be honest with yourself. And also, more importantly, there's a lot of things in hindsight that this era kind of is lacking. A lot. The 2000s. I really don't think anyone should actually have this as their favorite era. Of basketball, besides putting nostalgia glasses on, similar to the 2000s. This one might be worse. There is so much defense and physicality in this era, and I just truly think that you guys don't remember how bad it got. These games were grinded to a fucking crawl at points, and we were commonly seeing games end in the 80s, not the 90s of scoring, the 80s. This is not good offensive basketball. And honestly, if you look at any of the other eras previous to it and post it, no era has ever grinded to a halt quite like this one. We had actual final games, mind you, with Kobe and fucking Shaq ending in sub 100 point games, sub 90 point games. Does this look good to you? I hope not. The early 2010s. This era is very experimental. It is not as developed as the eras that will come after it. This is before the 3-point. And I'm talking about pre-3-point revolution. I know a lot of you are going to have a lot of nostalgia for 2016. Look, I do too. Is it a better basketball? Is it a better era of basketball than this one? No. Just just know, please watch as players in this era still kind of refuse to do mismatch hunting, which doesn't really make sense because I'm not gonna lie, people do that at the park. NBA offenses had way too much respect for bad defenders being on the court. And I know you're saying to yourself, but this era and that era aren't that different. By the time the 2020s are over, you'll feel it. It'll be much more distinguished. Trust me. We've only covered 2 takes in, and we're 10 minutes in. So we're gonna speed through the rest of these really quickly. Well, not the rest of these, but some of these. They're not gonna get the same love that a lot of these other ones are gonna get. I'm pretty glad that this one is not as common as it used to be in the early 2010s. Sorry, late 2010s. Obviously, that was probably because we were so used to LeBron being in the finals every year, and whatever team comes out west, be that the Golden State Warriors, San Antonio Spurs. That one time the Thunder did it. It was a one-time thing, but it happened. Yeah. So. Yeah, just really quickly, the regular season clearly matters. I don't need to go back in time and tell you how most of the time when your team makes it to the finals, they were either a top 3 team in their respective conference, or more than likely, if they weren't one of those things, they played against it. One of those top 3 teams was heavily injured, or more importantly than just that, they didn't wind up winning the finals if they made it. I could go down the entire list that goes all the way back to 1994 when the Rockets made the finals at like the 6th seed. I don't want to go that far back. Please literally just look at any of the most recent champions. The Thunder were the number 1 seed. The Celtics were the number 1 seed in their conference. The Nuggets, yeah, I know you're saying to yourself, man, this is bull. The Nuggets were a top 3 seed in that conference. 2022 Warriors. I'm not particularly sure if they were a top 3 seed this year, but they had a pedigree and they've obviously been there before. And also this year's just kind of fucking weird. I really don't know what to tell you. This year was just pretty weird. They were a top 3 seed though. They were 3 at most, but they were a top 3 seed nonetheless. If we keep going back, it's a trend that continues to repeat on and on and on. So yes, clearly the regular season does matter. But since we're talking about the regular season, it might as well talk about regular season awards as well. Regular season awards. So, for starters, let's talk about this. Robberies in the MVP section, or in any award or debate, or the fact that we're like talking about snubs and stuff, I am going to be honest. When you guys use this term, you use it completely incorrectly. A robbery is supposed to be significantly clear where a player is not better than the other by a large margin. I think the problem with a lot of the people that use this term is they are exaggerating to the highest of degrees. No, Nikola Jokic was not robbed last year. He wasn't. Cope Seed Malt, my nigga. Yes, I think Nikola Jokic had a more impressive individual season, but that is not how the MVP award is voted on. It has never been how the MVP is voted on. It's very rare where it's just individual success. We already know this. Let's stop pretending. And in those rare instances, there's normally something else going along for them, like, MVP discussions. Even in situations where I think that the MVP probably should have gone to somebody else, I'm willing to conceal or admit that yes, even though I think this MVP should have gone to someone else or could have gone to someone else, I'm not willing to just completely ignore and disregard the season that a player had just because I think, I think this season was quite frankly more impressive. Because that defeats the purpose and the tenure and the history behind these awards. Generally speaking, you're going to have some fuck up years. You're going to have some years where you're just like, man. And also, more importantly, y'all need to stop weighing MVPs like they're all worth the same. Some people's MVP seasons are not as good as others. We all know this intrinsically. Why do we all act like when we just glaze over someone's resume that MVP seasons are the end all be all? I think the end all be all, especially when we're talking about this because it makes sense for longevity, should be, how many times were you actually in the conversation for real between MVP candidates? This is more important than just winning the MVP, because players who haven't won an MVP like Chris Paul, I'm not going to just straight up outright say, yeah, Chris Paul can't be above James Harden, because James Harden has the 2018 MVP, even though we all know that's not his best season. A lot of the times players don't even win MVPs in their best season. Either a combination of voter fatigue, just sorry, bro. Another guy had a better season than you, and they had more success in the wins column as well. Yeah, that's gonna happen sometimes. Hate to break it to you. I think, truthfully, it'll balance out over the course of the years, though. You're gonna have roughly around the amount that you should have. Roughly. Okay, here's another one that I need to die. If a lot of these feel like I am targeting a certain player, I'm not. It's just you people on the internet need to be cautious about what you're saying, and you're not. Foul baiting. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. No, I am not defending Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's extremely bad and questionable moments when it comes to foul baiting. Am I saying that foul baiting is bad? No, I'm not going to say that. I think people need to think about this and really use your brain. Getting to the free throw line is a skill. We need to stop acting as if it isn't. It is a skill. Going to the free throw line and getting your team easy buckets, easy points, even when your jump shot is not falling, which is something we saw from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander this year in the postseason, is important. And also, more importantly than the fact that I'm just saying it's important, you also need to take this with a grain of salt. Yes, the act of foul baiting is bad, but when y'all make it worse, though, these players who average multiple free throws off of non-foul baiting moments because they genuinely drive and initiate contact and get to the free throw line because they are great slashers, you diminish and take away from the other aspects of their game by just simplifying them and calling them a foul baiter. There are some really egregious cases of foul baiting, I will admit. Shai has some moments like that. Embiid has several of those moments. A lot of them. But to be honest, players of Embiid's size do constantly get whacked and not get calls. Exaggerating a call is not the same as foul baiting. It's not the same as flopping as well. Exaggerating a call is more, I think exaggerating a call is a skill. Because let's be honest, sometimes the refs are not gonna blow that whistle. And if you're not gonna blow the whistle when a guy clearly whacks me across the arms because I try to muscle my way through it and I don't get the call, yeah, dude, I'm gonna be like, he killed me. Obviously, that's what you would do. Don't lie. Okay. If you feel like I've been defending Shai a lot, you're gonna love this one. If you feel like it. Okay, so for starters, asterisks on championships. We gotta stop doing this one. I'm gonna get back to the one that's not defending Shai, but asterisks on championships. I think I made an entire video on this one, but I'm not sure if anyone ever saw that video, if I ever published it or released it. If it ever came out, I don't know. I don't know, but this needs to stop. Yes, certain championship rings are more valuable than others, but to deny some of them and act like, yeah, well, this wouldn't even happen if blah, blah, blah happened. We don't live in what if land. We don't live in make-believe. We are not pretenders. The teams that win these championships have always deserved to win the championship. I don't care how lame you thought it was or how they did it. They deserve to win a championship. They put in the work and they played who was in front of them. Yes, sometimes you're going to have competition moments where it's not fair and it's going to look like, man, if this team ran into X, Y, and Z team instead of this team, they probably would have struggled. But the playoff is matchups, and this is why the regular season needs to be taken seriously. because these are the matchups you're looking at when you get to the postseason. And yes, injuries happen, but injuries have always happened. This is not a new phenomenon. Okay, back to disassembling Shea's season last year, because yes, it wasn't one of the best seasons of all time, but let's calm down. Winning the Finals MVP does not make you the best player in the world. It doesn't make you the best player in the world. I don't know how we've completely flipped and went 180 from one direction to the other. But when LeBron wasn't winning Finals MVP because his team shit the bed, or because, quite frankly, they were outgunned and outmatched by the Golden State Warriors, no one should suddenly have been like, man, LeBron kind of sucks, bro. Is he even better than Steph or KD? I don't know, man. It's stupid. I'm guilty of doing this. I'm not gonna lie. Now, the places where I was guilty of doing this, not as egregious as you motherfuckers. I had it in the 2019 season. First of all, this was my second season watching basketball as deeply as I honestly ever had. My second season watching basketball as deeply as any person can be without being casual, right? That was my second season. And two, the run that we had saw Kawhi on, yes, bro, recency bias was going to tax the fuck out of us. That was one of the greatest playoff runs we had ever seen. Don't lie to yourselves. The way he cooked the Orlando Magic, then proceeded to torch the fucking the 76ers in a Game 7 series where he had a walk-off buzzer beater. For the series, mind you, in a Game 7, no OT tonight. Yes, brother, I was feeling the vibes. And then the way we saw him deal with Giannis, the MVP of that season, yes, brother, I was feeling it. Man. I thought he was the best in the world at that point. I was looking over, and especially because LeBron had just had a groin injury, and I didn't know how much longer this fuckery would go on for. Yeah, bro, I thought Kawhi was better than everybody on the fucking planet. Stone me to death. But as an adult, I can say, yeah, in hindsight, was he really better than KD? Whoa, not too much. Was he better than Stephen Curry? Not too much. Was he really gonna be better? Was he really better than LeBron James? Wait, what you want to do that for? Yeah, probably not. Why would the landscape and the hierarchy of the NBA disappear just like that? Like, what? Does that even make sense, y'all? So does Shea winning the championship make him the best player in the fucking world? No. Nigga, Giannis is still out there. That beast needs to be locked behind bars. Jokic is still out there, bro. Hey, bro, Wemby might finish this season, and not too much on Wemby. Not too much. But if Wemby gets like this offensive bag that everyone is expecting of him, and I mean just like literally polishing it just a little bit, changing a little bit of shot selection and whatever, are we really about to tell me that Wemby not gonna be crazy? I don't know. I'm about to say, especially because the gap between most of these players that y'all be saying is the best player in the world because they won a Finals MVP one season is kind of like, what? Steph just suddenly became better than Giannis overnight. Went back to being better than Giannis overnight because he won the Finals MVP and Giannis didn't in 2022? Huh? Nigga, go band for band with their numbers. What are we talking about? Yeah, okay. Enough of that take. Yeah, so I'm looking at this list and we got some fucking heaters to cover, man. The Legends couldn't play in every single era. This shit is dumb as fuck, and I'm tired of this one. I don't think anyone else is like crazy on this, especially because when y'all be saying this shit, nigga, the NBA players y'all talking about don't believe this shit either. Like, LeBron had a hyperbolic statement of saying, yeah, Giannis gonna average like 70. Yes, the players are supposed to believe their own hype. Yes, bro. That's how you become this good at certain. You believe your own hype that much and you put in the work to back stuff up. You're supposed to believe your own hype. But y'all really be acting like certain players couldn't play in this thing eras because they're not physical enough. You're telling me LeBron, who is 280 pounds and 6'9", wouldn't be able to play in the 90s because it was physical? Y'all do realize that nigga is made of testosterone, right? Like, he would just, the same way they line at him, right? Like, use your brain. obviously not going to be able to do it to the dedicated goon on every single team, bro. And by the way, when I say goon, I don't mean what you mean, you nasty bastards. I mean the person who is dedicated on the team to literally just hurting the enemy team's best player and protecting their own best player. That guy, the nigga who gonna get thrown out because he can't keep his hands to himself. But don't worry, his teammates probably paying him fines off anyway. He good. He's still eating. Those players. The insurance pieces, if you will. Yes, bro, I hate to break it to you. LeBron will be able to play in that era. And yes, Michael Jordan himself has said that. So stop using these in the dumbass GOAT debates that y'all be having. They're stupid. And this player would average 40 in today's era. Bro, they would average about the same numbers they averaged back then, but they would be hyper efficient. Yeah, that's the difference, bro. Like, do I think Kobe would magically average more than the 33 points he averaged in 2006? Nigga, no. Would he average a hyper efficient 30 like we just watched from Shea? Absolutely, nigga. The skills are the same shit. It would work the same, wouldn't it? If not better, because this nigga's an all-time legend and had to do that shit against the 2000s defenses. This would definitely fly in today's era. These bigs that y'all be talking about, like, yeah, I hate to break it to you, nigga. Tim Duncan would be dogging some of these new bigs. What are we... You don't think Tim Duncan can deal with Jared Allen? Unless these players of the past that we're talking about have like glaring flaws in their games, which again I think would be addressed by them playing in a modern era, because new coaches would be able to reach them. Unless they're just really, really dumb and arrogant, is what you're telling me. Which, granted, yeah, that can happen. Shaquille O'Neal is one of those niggas. I don't just mean that as his commentary. I mean that, like, if Shaq probably played in today's era, he'd probably still have those attitude issues. That being said, you really think Shaq would just stop dominating the game of basketball because he was slightly more pouty and moody? Be honest, bruh. We know what you are, bruh. We know you a little bit slow. Yeah, no. Legends can play in any era of basketball, and I mean that for all of them. There would be minor adaptations that they would have to make to their game, but it wouldn't be something so drastic where they're unrecognizable. And more importantly, no shit. Covered two. This is a tough one. Y'all aren't gonna like what I gotta say about this one. Physicality and defense are not the same thing. The clotheslining that y'all saw in the 80s and 90s, first of all, let's just be completely honest really quickly. Y'all are over-exaggerating how bad it was, bro. I'm not lying to you. Bill Laimbeer was one of those guys that y'all are talking about on the Pistons that was really clotheslining niggas and roughing them up. But A, those players were trying to clobber Bill Laimbeer as well. They did not fucking like him. And B, again, this is a goon/role player on the team. That's his dedicated purpose. And also, y'all be underrating how good these niggas were at defense because you only think about them putting hands on motherfuckers. That was not their only plan. They had Dennis Rodman on the roster, buddy. I hate to break it to you. They were doing things to slow down players besides just clotheslining them, bro. Y'all do realize the Jordan rules start off with forcing him left and not just sucker punching him just cause, right? I don't know if you ever watched the games. Also, the 80s is like the last era of physical basketball that niggas should be talking about, because this era was run and gun like shit. Not as physical as you think. Calm down. You're doing tricks on it. 2, the 90s, bro, let's be honest. They were not letting their best player, and this is every era with technical fouls in them. They're not letting you fucking clothesline Michael Jordan in the fucking 90s. That shit was not gonna fly. Star calls exist for a reason. And if you think they were just gonna let motherfuckers just constantly, niggas out of the air, yeah, bro, that would not have lasted. That wouldn't, bro. I hate to break it to you. It's not the reality of what actually happened during that. These defenses that y'all love to talk about in this era were good at defense for another reason. Also, offenses just were simpler. Yeah. So, just putting a guy who was physical on Larry Bird worked a little bit better than it would in today's game. The court was less space, my nigga. And y'all be underrating some of these players' teammates back in the day as well. That's a smaller point. Like, I don't know why y'all think Wilt's teammates were fucking terrible. They weren't. The nigga was averaging that many points because of coaching mentality and the fact that the nigga was selfish. In the seasons where he had less of those points, the team actually won more games. They were a better team because it's a team sport, nigga. This is the one that I really want to die, and I never wanted to see it reincarnated in any way, shape, or form. The skill and bag work talks. Okay. Y'all be using these on the exact wrong players to talk about this. Yes, bro. The way the shot that they get is tough and looks clean is great. Does this genuinely elevate them over players who may not be as flashy, may not have as aesthetically appealing games? But does that make them better than them? No, bro. No, it doesn't. You think just because Kyrie does layups sexier, it's more impactful than Chris Paul? Are you like challenged? No, that's dumb. It's wrong. And you should feel bad for having that opinion. KD being the most skilled player of all time? What? With the playmaking deficiencies that he's had for a while and the lack of getting to the rim as much as he used to and the other flaws? Most skilled? And y'all simplify skills to a way weird degree. 3-point shooting is not all created the same. We all know this. The way you get to the basket and the efficiency is more important, to be quite honest, than how it looks. What? You're telling me that Kyrie is a better scorer than Giannis when Giannis has averaged 30 plus points for the last 4 years? Huh? And it's not like a volume thing. It's just straight up Giannis gets to the basket and puts the ball in the hoop. What do you mean XYZ player is a better scorer than him? Huh? Yes, obviously when we're distinguishing all-time greats, this can help when we're talking about that. But if the player is effective in the way that they're already doing something, why are we suddenly debating on this? Like, y'all know the if it ain't broken, don't fix it type shit. Why are y'all talking about this? This constant hyperfixation on what if Giannis had a bag? And then ignoring the elements of his game that have improved drastically since he got drafted. For starters, Giannis had a good mid-range shot last year. And I'm not just saying good, I mean great, actually. The amount of volume he was taking and the amount of shots he was making was genuinely really good and impressive. It was kind of similar to what we saw from Ant out of fucking nowhere, where Ant just suddenly had Steph Curry shooting all of a sudden. Do I mean that literally? No. But do I think Giannis had the same mid-range shooting as Kevin Durant? No, also no. I'm saying the volume was similar and the percentage they were making was pretty similar. It's not something you can easily discount. These were additions made to their games. The amount of playmaking that Giannis has made, especially considering how great of a passer he is, and reactionary as well as reading defenses. This is something that he didn't have in 2019. It's why he lost early on in his career. It's why he got better. To completely disregard this because KD's bag looks prettier is weird, dog. It doesn't make a lot of sense. And I know that this is kind of more topics than I said it would be. I did say it was only going to be the top 10 takes that need to stay in 2025. But realistically, a lot of these things are either overlapping and related, or more importantly than just being overlapping and related, nigga, they needed to be discussed. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff. And if any of you have something negative to say about this video, shut up.